So basically guys, you see these two vehicles back here? Well, this one to the left of me, this is my left, it's the right on the screen, but this one does not want to start. This one just needs a head gasket. Replacing a head gasket, it's pretty much kind of like common sense. I already made kind of like a lot of videos on that to replace it. It is possibly something we'll still, do to this engine. But of course, as I stated in, some of my other videos, when I uploaded a lot of these vehicles here, and there's 3 sprinters here. There's another one right there. I'm just gonna part all of these out. While kind of thinking about this process, I know why I want to part them out, because I'll actually make more money in parts than I could fix these vans and sell them running, for reasons that are really obvious. These sprinters, they're pretty old. They're awesome vans, but they're pretty old. So it's awesome to keep these things and just maintain it. But if you're trying to like me, like if you have these parts vans, if you're trying to fix them and sell them, it's just not going to make much sense, because a lot of people, they're just not going to want to give money for a sprinter that's got 750,000 miles. This one, of course, I still don't remember how many miles. This would probably be worth fixing, kind of, in a way, but it probably has 190,000 miles. That's what I'm kind of thinking it is, but I'm gonna say it's got like 290. That's what I've been saying so far. I haven't really checked, so I forgot. But I remember this one was like really low miles. The guy I bought it from, he bought it from a dealer, paid it off and everything, and then he sold it to me. Of course, he messed up the head gasket, but you guys already got that story. But here's what I'm getting ready to do. Why am I showing you these 2 sprinters in the back here? Well, I'm going to be parting all of them out, like regardless. But this sprinter back here does not want to start. And to many of you guys want to see this thing start. And I do too. So yes, it's going to be kind of like a waste of time, like in a way, for me to really get this thing running if I'm not planning to sell it. But at the same time, I'm as curious as you guys are to see like why it doesn't run. So yesterday I talked to one of my viewers. His name is Serge. He's basically like a real estate investor, and a really successful one. So he's been really spending a lot of time with me, like on the phone, and really trying to like become my mentor and coach me, for me to go to the next level when it comes to real estate investing, because I kind of started a little bit, like with this property, but to go forward, I really need kind of like mentorship to try to take it to the next level, because this is kind of like a really serious business, and it's really interesting to be in, and that's actually what I want to be in, instead of like fixing cars and stuff like that. That's why, guys, I'm not a mechanic. If I wanted to be one, I would have been one by now. But that was my dream when I was in high school, to be a mechanic. I actually took shop class for 3 years. I was really good at it. I've learned a lot about gas cars and whatnot. But anyways, I tend to always go off topic just a little bit, but it's fun, I guess, at least for me. I hope it is for you guys. But anyways, I do want to get the sprinter running. And what I'm going to do is, I know that this van starts for a fact, this one right here, and I know that this one doesn't. So one of the things that I done earlier in the video, I replaced the high pressure fuel pump. Fuel rail. I replaced the fuel rail. So I brought Serge up because I was talking to him last night about this vehicle not starting, and he actually recommended to check on something that I really did not even think to check, because I do this from experience, and probably the best way, kind of like a practice, kind of like, like doctors, they're practicing all the time, they open up a practice. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm basically practicing with these sprinters, and I'm self-taught, and whatever I learn, I share with you guys. So when it comes to the sprinter, I don't know if the fuel injectors are good. I know fuel injectors are good on this one. I don't know if high pressure fuel pump is good on this one, but I know it is good on this one. And as far as the fuel rail goes, I replaced it with a good one that I know it should work. But here's what Serge told me to check. He said sometimes the fuel lines that's leading to the fuel injectors, sometimes they get like basically like contaminated, and they get like blockages inside. So I need to check those and make sure that they're completely clean. And even if they're clean, they probably, if they were contaminated, the contaminants probably already moved into the fuel injectors and contaminated the fuel injectors, which would be fuel injectors are really not getting any fuel, or getting very really minor fuel, which is not going to cause it to start up. But we are dealing with a situation where we don't know if we're getting fuel, or we're getting like too little of a fuel, and we don't know if this is bad injectors or they're good injectors, and we also don't have any check engine light to let us know. The only thing we're getting is a crankshaft type of code, which, you know, if you have to replace a crankshaft, it was already done twice, and I'm not gonna do it the third time. And here's something else that Serge has suggested, because, you know, it was like several type of things. One of them, this could be completely like electrical. Right under basically the steering wheel, there's a fuse panel, and in that fuse panel, if just something goes wrong, it's just not completely like attached, some of those like relays and stuff, and there's a starting relay in there, it's just not going to start. So that's probably going to be like one of the first things I'm going to try. I'm going to take a panel from this one that starts, stick it on this one, see if it starts. If it doesn't start, we're going to move on to the next thing. So the next thing I would like to check, of course, on it would be the fuel injector pipes, fuel injector lines. See if they're stuffed up. If they're not stuffed up, you know, who knows? I'm probably gonna go next and remove all the fuel injectors. Hopefully they come out good, because they possibly will be bad. Like they're gonna be stuck in there to try to pull them out. So I'm gonna see how I'm gonna do that, and pull fuel injectors out of this one, and take all of these fuel injectors and stick them into this one. And once I actually do that, and if it does start, okay, let's just hope it does start with fuel injectors. So once it does start, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pull injector number 1 out, and I'm gonna take these 5 injectors from this sprinter, and I'm gonna test each one of them. I'm gonna take them one by one, stick them in that injector hole, hook everything up, use the same bolt. In this case, it really not gonna matter to use the same type of gasket, the same type of bolt, because we're just running a bunch of tests. So I'm gonna, you know, basically just keep installing fuel injectors and stuff like that in there, and see if that's going to work. If it's going to work, great, you know, if all of the fuel injectors will work, you know, but most likely if it started with those other fuel injectors, at least 1 or 2 or maybe 3 injectors are not going to be working. Maybe all of them, they're not going to be working, so we don't know this. But let's just pretend that this is not the case. It's not going to start. Another problem that could be, and this is actually another one of the things that Serge suggested to me, that you remove basically the glow plug module, and sometimes the actual connectors, they're corroded. And what's interesting is, this is something I would not think of, that glow plug module could actually send a signal to the computer that there's something wrong. And this is just simple, you know, speaking in simple terms, there's something wrong with the computer, and it just will cause it like not to send any fuel to start it up, because glow plug module, the connectors could be corroded, but it also could be completely gone. Like, you know, so most likely we'll need to open up that glow plug module up, and we're gonna see inside. I'm gonna actually do this on the video. We're gonna see inside if those fuses in there, if they're burned out. It's different kind of fuses, guys. It's a little bit different system. It is a simple system, but those fuses are meant to blow one by one when each glow plug fails. So I never really had a problem before where it was like a glow plug type of issue and the vehicle would not start. I did have, however, a vehicle, which is the one with 1,000,000 miles, when I had an older engine. All 4 glow plugs were bad. You know, they would not work. So I only had 1 glow plug, and I was still able to start it in the winter time. And the way I did that is by turning the ignition on and holding it, and just kind of like let it perform and hold it again. I would probably do that 7 times, guys, and then it would start, you know. So sometimes I would even have to really spin, you know, but it would still start up. And other times in really cold environments, kind of like in Michigan, the battery would just die. So because, you know, the battery was like, I guess maybe like weak anyways, so I would have to get it charged or have somebody like jump start me, but you can't start it. But of course in the summertime you can just start the diesel right up without preforming your glow plugs. But anyways, this could be this electrical issue where it's telling the computer from the glow plug module that, look, something's wrong, don't send any fuel. Or it could be electrical problem underneath the steering wheel. So there's a lot of different possibilities that could be going on. But let's move forward So after I replace the fuel injectors, you know, and if it does not start, okay, we're going to move down to high pressure fuel pump. We're going to go ahead and replace that thing, and if it does not start, I'm going to do something, I guess, that's pretty obvious that you could do it like in the beginning. We'll actually replace the actual filter, the high pressure, the actual fuel filter. We're going to replace that, and I probably should actually begin with that, you know. So I guess scratch all that out. We'll replace the fuel filter first and then try to start it. But anyways, just to get kind of like all these fuel systems kind of like out of the way, of course I'm going to think of other ways to test it, but at least I know that all parts in this one, they're good. So I could just be swapping parts out back and forth. And also you guys will know that once I'm gonna start selling these parts, that there are actually good used parts on my website. So I'm not sure exactly when I'm gonna post these things. I'm probably going to post them somewhere in January, maybe somewhere maybe like in the middle of January, or you know, past that, for the used parts, because I actually have a gig coming up with one of the people that I know out of the textile company. He's basically my father-in-law. He works for this multi-million-dollar textile company, and he basically offered me some jobs to basically just work directly with him and take the stuff to different shows and stuff, you know, and the pay is extremely good, you know. So I'm not gonna try to pass up this opportunity. I'm gonna take advantage of that and just see kind of like where that goes. That's potentially going to be pretty good for me. Because I do like to drive, it is relaxing, but there's other things that I want to actually try that I actually like to do, like work with my hands and use my head to try to do, and that's real estate, and that's actually doing home remodeling and like renovating type of stuff. So that's for a future video. But moving on with this one here, if all else fails, let's say I replace all the stuff and I know the stuff is good. If all the stuff fails, we're gonna go ahead and move down to the computer. I will remove the computer from this one. I'm gonna remove the ignition switch. I'm gonna remove the why am I forgetting this thing? Basically, under the speedometer, there's this one piece, and it is. Why do I not remember this? It is a module that basically sends a signal from the key, like where you actually insert the key into the ignition. There's a black little ring. That little plastic piece is actually, there's a ring inside, and it's antenna, and it sends it to basically this module that's underneath your speedometer. And that module, some people refer to it as screen module, but there's it's an immobilizer. That's actually what the name of it is. It's an immobilizer, and the immobilizer unit reads the signal. It's supposed to be the right frequency from your key, because your key has a chip in it, and it sends that signal to the immobilizer, and that immobilizer needs to recognize that this is the appropriate key for this car, and then it tells the computer to fire, you know, to basically start up, to send all the fuel. So if the immobilizer thinks this is not the right key, it's just not going to start because it does not recognize the key, obviously, and it's not going to send any fuel. It's going to actually cut off the fuel supply. This is why I personally haven't seen to where, like, just by replacing a computer, you could actually get the vehicle to fire right up. I have heard, however, by some of my viewers in the comment section that perhaps if the numbers match from the two computers, that it will start up. I don't really know if that will happen, because that would mean that they installed like the same type of chip in a different type of key. Could this happen? Sure. I don't know. Like, I haven't done my research on it. One thing for sure is, what I could do is I could take some of the computers that I have from the vans, and I could compare the numbers, see if there's any that's the same, and just swap one out and just see if it's gonna start. Like, if it's gonna start, hey, we just figured another thing out. Possibly you could buy a computer with your numbers and it will start up. So I did heard this is right, but I always test these type of things myself, because I hardly trust kind of like what people say, like when it comes to some of the stuff, because a lot of stuff is kind of like misleading and a little bit like misunderstanding. And some of the stuff you read on forums, if you really read it long enough, there's a lot of different confusion that's going on kind of like on the topic. So everybody tries to put their input in, and probably like about 30% of the input is completely misleading. So you really have to then read everybody's opinions and then make sense out of everybody. So whoever answers like one thing the most likely that's the correct decision. But anyways, guys, if I replace the computer and the key and the immobilizer, of course, we know with the ignition switch and everything, and if it will start then we could at least know that the computer was actually causing us trouble the whole time, you know. Of course, another option would have been to just take these fuel injectors and test them in this one, and if they fire, you know, it's going to work. But I don't really want to do that because it's kind of like, you know, it's just kind of like pointless, I guess. But here's another problem that we're running into. I've done another video, guys, on my Sony camcorder, and I have to edit that video on the computer. Basically, I was trying to start up this van on one of my videos. It's not up yet, and it almost fired. But I was spinning it for like a while and stuff like that, and I've used some starting fluid and stuff, but I sprayed it directly into the intake manifold, but just a little bit, like just a little, you know, spray, you know. I would not like spray it down in there, you know, and stuff, just a little bit. And it acted like it wanted to start up like at one portion, but then I added some more, and then it acted, and then basically one or two things happened. Either I messed something up inside of the engine by doing that, because on rare occasions a starting fluid could basically cause kind of like a little mini explosion, and it could really mess some things up in there. So but I believe my starter is just gone, because once I turn the key now, it's just click, 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 you know, that's it. It just doesn't do anything. So there's a good possibility that the starter is just like, it's gone. So I'm going to have to find a starter in one of my vans that's working, put it in there, and hopefully, you know, we could start rotating. So I guess before I do anything, I first need to find out, is this the starter issue, or that's it, like I'm done. But at the same time, I mean, here's the thing: the engine rotates just fine. Like if you put a, you know, socket, I think it's like a 27 millimeter, and you try to rotate the engine, it rotates just fine. Like there's no problems whatsoever. So starter should be still rotating technically, and if the engine is still spinning, things should still work. I just don't see like why would it not. So that is that. And let's say what we do everything, we try the computer thing, we try all the stuff out. Next thing that we could do is actually do the compression test. I'm saving that for last, and that's because you have to remove the glow plugs, and sometimes glow plugs are really difficult to remove, and you could end up actually breaking the glow plugs. But the place that had this van last, they said they did a compression test, and I honestly would like to say that I don't believe that. I think it's a complete lie, because first of all, they didn't give me any numbers, because it was not my vehicle at the time when this was all getting done. I actually had to negotiate with the place to actually pick it up, as you've seen in some of my videos. But I think I actually removed one of them, because I'm trying to keep my channel positive, and I don't want to make other mechanics look bad on my channel, because some of them, you know, they're trying to make a living, obviously, but it's really bad when it's a situation where somebody's like really misleading you and ripping you off completely. So that was the case with this vehicle. $500 just to do the diagnostics, I think it's beyond unbelievable, because even the dealer would charge maybe 100, let's say even 150. Let's say they say it's an hour diagnostics, we charge 150 per hour, then 150 would be a fair price, you know, to pay for diagnostics. But this place said they charged I don't remember, either like $100 an hour or something, but they said they spent like 5 hours on it, doing the electrical testing and doing the compression test and stuff like that. But when I asked them for the readings, they didn't give it to me. But yet they made up a story that, oh, this such and such a cylinder had really low, and another one had nothing, and, you know, basically just made a lot of stuff up. So I cannot even look at that and just like compare notes, basically. So the reason I don't believe this, that they done it, because it's real hard to remove glow plugs without complaining, you know, and they didn't complain at all. So if they would have said, yeah, we had hard time removing them, then I would have like halfway believed them, because yeah, it's really a pain to remove glow plugs, especially on an engine that's 750,000 miles, guys. You know, they're gonna be really seized on there, like pretty bad. I actually recommend you guys, if you can pull the glow plugs out, use the NTC's type of lubricant. The same thing for spark plugs, because it's the same idea. Spark plugs, of course, you gotta replace them pretty much like once a year or like every 100,000 miles, and they're a lot easier to remove. Plus, it's a bigger spark plug. I mean, you got more torque on it, and these things are really tiny. They take like a 10mm deep socket, and to try to like remove them, and obviously you could just like break them. Like, they're really easy, and then possibility is they could actually drop inside of the actual block or the head, and then really messing things up. But here's the thing, guys. I really wonder, is that really true? Like, is it possible for the glow plug to break off and actually fall inside? So I actually would like to do this test. In this other vehicle that I have back there, yeah, right there, I already have the head with the glow plugs. I will be removing the glow plugs from that, and I'm gonna make a video how I'm gonna be removing them and see if I could have a better way of doing it, you know. There's of course lots of ways of doing it, but what I would like to do, guys, is break one of them. Okay, I know it doesn't make any sense, but I want to break one of them and just to try to see if it's gonna drop inside. You know, I'll break one for you guys, that way if you break one, at least you're gonna know, is it even possible for it to drop inside? Because I heard many times that yes, it's going to drop inside, cause all kinds of damage. But here's kind of like what I think. Okay, let's say you broke the glow plug. You broke it, but somehow there's air that's able to get in. Obviously, there's gonna be a compression type of issue. Well, if you broke one and you cannot really get it out, you know, you could at least kind of like retap the hole and put a bolt on it. Like, I'm just basically telling you guys of this ghetto fix, you know, but I'm thinking, look, you could technically retap it for some kind of bolt, put a bolt on it, just use 4 glow plugs. Yeah, you're not gonna have like 1 glow plug in there, but who cares? You could continue on running, especially if you're in a tight spot, you know, because maybe you wanted to replace all glow plugs, but you broke one, and you broke one really bad, and you just cannot get it out. Because guys, it is going to be really difficult to get it out in that type of position, the way the engine is, especially if it's deeper, like in a 5th cylinder or something. I mean, good luck trying to like drill that out without actually pulling off the head. That's why it could really become expensive really quick, and you would want a minimum cost type of solution. But anyways, guys, I'm not giving up on this van. And one of the videos that you will see, I'm just gonna tell you guys, they're gonna be like just all parts, and it does not make any sense for me to really even try to start it, but I think it does make sense for me to do it for this channel. That way you guys could at least learn, like, why was it not starting, like, to begin with? You know, it's just like maybe bad compression, bad you know, computer, bad fuel injectors, or you name it, you know, everything that we pretty much named right now. But one of the things that I did not name, there's another possibility why this thing is not starting, and that could be due to the fact that the crankshaft pulley that sits in between the engine and transmission, this is the one that the starter basically goes into, kind of like on the side, and it basically rotates. If it has missing teeth, the word online is that it's just not going to start because of that, because it's the crankshaft is trying to, the crankshaft sensor is trying to count those teeth, and if there's some missing teeth on there, it's just not going to start, you know, due to that fact. So, you know, who knows. One thing I will say is that if it doesn't start, I'm going to drop the transmission on it, because I'm going to be parting this thing out anyways, and then we could really see, is the teeth there or they're not, you know. So, you know, who knows. But as far as this part sprinter goes here, I do want to tell you guys kind of like what I'm gonna do with this one. And in the beginning, before I actually ask you guys that question, kind of like what I should do and stuff, I was thinking about parting out this one here with the lowest mileage. Why? Because it will make the best donor for my 1,000,000-mile sprinter. And I know what some of you guys thinking, why not just take this low mile sprinter and just fix it up and use that? But there's basically this moral type of question to me. I really enjoy my million mile sprinter. It has basically got me to this point. It was not this van. You know, I basically babied that van. I've learned how to work on sprinters on that van. I did learn how to do other stuff on other vans, but unlike this one, that sprinter gave me the most trouble out of all the sprinters that I own, guys. and that's the one I decided to basically learn on. I do believe there was a good reason, you know, for the sprinter to fail on me. I think God was trying to teach me how to do the work myself, because I used to be kind of like some of you guys and take your van to the shop, because I thought, well, what if I don't have the right tools, or what if I don't have this and that, and I would just give it to the shop to work on it, guys. And I got tired of these $3,500 bills. Seriously, you know, that's just a lot of money, and some of us were struggling, and we cannot really sometimes afford to eat proper type of food. We gotta stick to like fast food or a Roman soup that Roman noodles. Man, I cannot even say it right. But you guys get the idea. And oatmeal. I literally had to live on that stuff, guys, because I was not making enough money because of all the breakdowns and everything else. So I do understand some of you guys, and I guess do understand me. That's why I'm keeping that Sprinter. Like, I'm not even gonna sell it. It's a salvage vehicle. It's been at auction 2 times. It's pretty much a Frankenstein. It's got parts from every van you could think of, including some that like new and stuff. But this particular Sprinter in the back, it's got a good transmission. So this transmission is going into mine. The torque converter is going into mine. The transmission, most likely I'll remove the drive shaft, stick that into mine, and I'm going to at some point, maybe not this time, because I don't want to really create a lot of work for myself, but I might do it in the process, because right now that van is basically just parked because I switched all the coverages to a different one. But I would like to take the rear differential from this one and put it on mine. But not only that, the last owner did a conversion, and let me show you this, guys. So let me kind of like make an example. As you see, this one's got that, you know, that cover and everything on it, but this has upgraded leaf springs. Let me show you the way it's supposed to look like. Look at this distance right here. That's how it technically is supposed to look like, and I could show you now. This is a normal one. It sits a little bit higher, but still, this one is much higher. It's definitely got bigger leaf springs, so I'm going to remove them, and I'm going to basically upgrade them, guys. So I guess, guys, in conclusion, this is going to be the part Sprinter that's actually got a nicest parts on there for my $1 million. It's probably will be $1 million if I keep driving it. But my 1,000,000-mile Sprinter, guys, is going to get better parts from this one here, and this one, but we'll try to get it started. If it all fails, oh well, you know, what can we do? We tried. I mean, some do die eventually, but these engines, they're supposed to last like 1,000,000 miles, guys. Like some of them, they just keep going and going and going. But sometimes it is something so simple that it's mind-blowing, guys. There's probably something I'm not thinking of on this Sprinter, and it's causing it not to start, and it's really simple. But then you get it to some kind of shop, and they're gonna be tearing it apart and charging you $500 for diagnostics. And even worse, if once they're gonna start replacing stuff, they're just gonna charge so much money that you will tell them to keep the van at the end. Actually, that's what my friend said. He told them just to keep the van. And I told him, look, we could get it back. And he's like, man, I'm so tired of that. And they were charging him like $2,000 basically for storage and stuff, because he did not make a deal with them like within a month or something. And they were charging him storage fees for every single day that it was down there. So until I negotiated with them, and they didn't really want to negotiate, but because I was a new person to them, they negotiated. They said, look, to get it, you need to pay us $500 basically, and they said pay it in cash, not credit. And as soon as I paid it, they had me sign a receipt and did not give me a copy. So that was a customer receipt. So they're like, oh, give it back to us. That's actually ours. But that was a customer receipt. So they completely lied, but I completely dismissed the situation. I just got the van and towed it home, guys, and you guys seen that video. So that is that. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and God bless you. And I'm gonna get back and do some other stuff on my Sprinters. See you in my next video. Bye bye.